Hey, for all the authors that are listening out there, I wanted to share with you this great email that we received here at the Reading with Your Kids podcast from Dr. Linda Mubarak. She is a past guest and the author of Maxine's New Job. Here's the email. Dear Fatima and Jed, good news! Maxine's New Job has been nominated to receive the prestigious Henri Award at the 2018 Christian Literacy Awards for outstanding literacy work in the children's book division. I sincerely believe your certifying Maxine as a great read helped bring increased social media attention to the book. Thank you for the exposure and the great marketing. We are so happy for Dr. Linda Mubarak that her book, Reading with Your Kids Certified Great Read, Maxine's New Job, received this prestigious recognition. We would love to help your book receive that same kind of recognition. If you are interested in having your book considered for our Reading with Your Kids Certified Great Read program, please visit our website, readingwithyourkids.com. You can click on the contact button, send us a note, and we'll send all the information back to you, or you can go right to our Certified Great Read page on our website. It's fun, it's easy, and it is really an effective way to let the world know that your book stands out above all the rest. The Reading with Your Kids Certified Great Read program.
Reading with Your Kids.
Hey, so great to see you. Come on in. Hi, my name is Jedley, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast and iTunes #1 kids and family podcast. We are so delighted that you are part of our beautiful Reading with Your Kids family. We have a wonderful guest for you today. Her name is Rachel Hannibal. She is the author of Amber's Magical Savings Box. She's a driving force behind Millionaires in Training. And today, the day we're releasing this, she's a birthday girl. What a way to celebrate your birthday, being a guest on the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We would be so very happy if you would visit readingwithyourkids.com/yummy, readingwithyourkids.com/yummy. Go there and find out about the easiest way to snack smart and do good. We're talking about Love with Food. Love with Food helps you discover new, organic, all-natural, and gluten-free snacks delivered directly to your door every single month. And membership starts as low as $7.99 a month. And this is why we love with Food so much. Love with Food will donate a portion of the proceeds to help fight childhood hunger in the U.S. and all around the world. Love with Food donates to organizations like Feeding America and the Global Food Banking Network. So join us to help end childhood hunger one meal at a time. Visit readingwithyourkids.com/yummy to say goodbye to boring grocery store selections and to start snacking smart and doing good with Love with Food. Joining us right now from the beautiful city of Philadelphia in Pennsylvania. This is a really important episode of the show. She's the author of Amber's Magical Savings Box, and she also presents these programs called Millionaires in Training. Please welcome to the show, Rachel Hannibal. Rachel, how are you?
I'm unstoppable. How are you?
I love that. That is actually how she greeted me earlier when we first said hello. She said, I'm unstoppable. What makes you unstoppable, Rachel?
Well, mostly the grace of God makes me unstoppable. He just adds the super to my natural, but just the this inspiration that I get from all around me, it just causes me to, just completely be unstoppable in any situation I may find myself in.
Boy, I love that. He adds the super to my natural. That is cool. I'm going to steal that. Well, I guess if I ask you, I can borrow it.
Well, I'm going to have to charge you.
Of course, a financial expert. What was I thinking? Well, let's get right down to it, because we have a real live expert here today in the area of financial literacy, and it is such a very important area, and it is an area that is completely overlooked in most schools and probably in most families. This idea of teaching kids about money and how to save and how to handle their money. So why don't we begin by telling us about Amber's Magical Savings Box?
Amber's Magical Savings Box is an interactive children's book. It teaches kids about earning and saving money. It comes with daily affirmations for the children. It has their first savings journal. It's also in the back of the book, and it also allows for them to set some goals for themselves as far as in the future. We follow Amber's journey of this magical toy that all the kids in the school have, and she seems to be one of the only ones who don't have the toy. But instead of just asking her mom and her dad for the money, she sets aside a plan and a goal to actually earn the money so that she can buy the toy herself.
What a great lesson for kids to learn.
Yeah, it's awesome. So far, we've had a 5-star rating on Amazon, just perfect rating from parents and grandparents all over, just saying that it has really paid for itself. It has really, started the conversation about, important money management skills and everything to our young people.
Yeah. Now, what is it? Why? Now, granted, I'm almost 100 years old, so when I talk about when I was a kid, we're talking about a long time ago, But when I was a kid, we had the school set us up with a savings account. The local branch of the savings bank came in, and we all got our little passbooks, and there was an opportunity for us to bring in money in school, and that happened in first grade, and that was. I was contributing to that on a regular basis, and when I was a little kid and got money for gifts, it was always a trip down to the bank, and when I had my paper route, a certain amount of money went into the bank, and then that kind of stopped, and I don't know when, and I have no idea why. Do you know why schools have kind of dropped this important piece of education?
I'm not sure why that, because I actually remember that too. Sometimes it used to be Tuesdays that they would come to our school, but I don't know. It kind of just faded. It kind of just vanished out of nowhere, and no one gave us a reason or what. I don't know what happened to that money that was in those accounts that kids were putting money in all those times. I don't know. That's a very, very good question. I may have to do some research to find out why because there has to be a reason why all of the programs like that stopped at all the schools. There's a reason for that.
Yeah, and it might just be as simple as, the competing bank, who are we going to give this contract to, whatever it is. But it really is a vital piece of education that's missing today.
Yes, it is.
So tell us a little bit about what we can. Obviously, this is a great opportunity, reading Amber's Magical Savings Box with our kids and doing the activities. It's a great way for us to start a conversation with our kids and helping them become financially literate. What kind of things do we need to teach them? We
need to teach them first the value of $1. I think that often, of course, now we are just swiping cards, this little plastic square thing that they see. They have no clue of what's on there, how it works, how mommy and daddy works really hard for, to be able to swipe that little square plastic thing that they see, and just understanding that there's a value that comes with this. We are working hard for this. This is not free. Money doesn't grow on trees. And just getting them to understand, even when a lot of times when a child is in the store asking their mom or their dad for a particular item, it's normally either yes or no, right? They normally hear a yes or a no. There's not an explanation. There's no follow-up questions. Anytime I'm with a niece or a nephew and they ask me for something, I say, how much does it cost? Even though I can see the price tag, I want them to get in the habit of looking at, this is the value of this item. This is how much you're asking me for. So just getting them in the habit of just knowing what this thing called money is and just how important it really is.
I oftentimes I digress when an author says something that stirs up a memory. We host international kids in our home, and and the kids have come from all over the world. But we've had a number of students live with us from China, And the first student who was living with us, she got a call and she had to go home unexpectedly. And so I took her to the airport, and her mom had been able to book her a flight, but she booked her on she could only get her a coach ticket. And when we went up to the counter and the student found out, she was very upset. And she said, well, how much to upgrade me? And the airline person typed it in, and she said, oh, my, that'd be $3,000. And the student took out that little plastic square thing you were talking about and swiped it like it was nothing. Absolutely no thought at all about what she was spending.
Wow.
And it was because it wasn't coming out of her pocket.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know one of my coworkers who purchased the book, he was saying that his granddaughter always says, just write the paper, just write the paper. And the paper she's referring to is a check. Mm-hmm. She just thinks that we just write this paper, whatever I need or I want, mommy or daddy writes this paper, and it appears. So it's the same as what you were saying. It's just like, we don't have a clue of the value of that paper, or you swiping that card. We just know that we do these two things, and what we need or what we want disappears.
Yeah. You know, this is a crazy conspiracy theory, and I'm probably very far-fetched. It just kind of popped into my mind. We were talking about before, why all of a sudden did schools stop this financial kind of education that was happening on some levels when we were younger? And one of the things that's happening these days, this is probably crazy, but one of the things that's happening these days is every single kid is expected to go to a 4-year college that costs $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year, and kids are taking out these massive loans, and they're not thinking when they're taking out these loans that I'm going to graduate from college, and maybe I'll get a job, maybe I won't get a job, but one of the things I will have is this massive debt of $100,000, $150,000, $200,000 that I can't get out of even if I die.
Right.
It's almost, I'm sure that's a silly idea, but it's almost as if people sat down and said, no one's going to buy our colleges if they really think about it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It is. So what kind of things going on? So talking about our kids, about the value of $1, so very important. What other kind of lessons do we need to start talking to our young ones about? And then I want to talk about what can we talk about as the kids grow older.
So for our young ones, I would say I think that we should reward children when they come up with a solution, when they solve a problem.
Okay.
Whatever that problem may be. For a lot of my clients, I tell them, if you have an older child and you have a younger child, you should reward them if they help with the younger, give a helping hand or something like that. Even if it's a quarter, even if it's 50 cents, we should get them in the mindset of, I am working for this. I am earning this. I am being paid to solve a problem, because that is how the real world works. Mm-hmm. We are all getting paid to solve some type of problem for someone or a group of people. And it's not just something that's just handed over. Mm-hmm. So I think that we should be, as parents, we should constantly be giving them the idea or the concept of not just asking, give me, but what problem are you willing to solve in order to earn this item? And I spoke with a gentleman, and he was saying that he takes his son to the toy store and he gets a pick of one item, and he'll say, well, that item, that will cost you 3 weeks. So in 3 weeks we can come back. Or this other item, this will only be 1 week. And he lets him choose which one he thinks is worth it. Is delayed gratification worth it for this particular situation, or is it not? And he's realizing that his son really sits and thinks about, am I willing to wait? Am I willing to be patient? And it just it's helpful because, again, as adults, we have a paycheck that comes every 2 weeks or every month or twice a month or however it works. And it's not just instant. So that's another thing too, just like getting them to understand that, yeah, you may solve this problem today. It doesn't necessarily mean you'll get paid today, so the whole delayed gratification idea, the whole idea of putting a value on particular things that they may ask for, they may want, they may see. I think it definitely helps you on the road to starting that constant conversation of just the value of a dollar. And then of course, once you start the dialogue, they'll ask more questions. What is this? What is that? What is a dollar? What is 50 cents? What does this coin mean? What is, how much is this? So it kind of helps you to just keep the ball rolling, but we definitely have to start the conversation as young as possible.
Yeah. And what a great way to get kids to start thinking, this idea of identifying problems and then finding a solution to people's problems. What a great kind of training for young entrepreneurs.
Of course.
Yeah. So what is this Millionaires in Training program that you have?
Millionaires in Training class is a class that I teach for teenagers and also for adults. I mentioned earlier that I go to different schools, different churches, and community centers, and even other nonprofit organizations. I travel, and we teach these classes, and most of it's just the basics of just the financial foundation that we all need. A lot of the times, again, we're not learning these things. You'll be surprised how many teenagers don't know the difference between a debit card and a credit card. They don't know the importance of their credit score. They don't know, all these things that, again, they're not taught at a young age. So then we're getting ready to send them off to college, or they're getting ready to start their new job, or we're getting ready to put them in a car, and they don't know the responsibilities, or they don't know certain terminologies or even certain fine print to look out for. So I kind of just basically in our Millionaires in Training class, I give them the information and I work them through these workshops, work them through just setting up a really good financial foundation that they can stand on for the next 5, 10, 20, 30 years, and things that they can hand down to their children to be able to create that same exact financial foundation so that we can break the cycle, because a lot of us, we're in a cycle. Our relationship with money comes from the things that we may have seen or may have heard or experienced when we were young. The things our parents said, the things our grandparents may have said, and we are building a relationship with money in that way. And so this is a way for me to just give them the tools that they need for the next generation of millionaires, so that they know what to do with this, with their gifts or their talents, and how they're able to multiply this, and how they're able to take care of themselves for a long period of time.
I'm wondering what kind of reactions you get from teenagers when you kind of sit down and you teach them about the difference between a debit and a credit card, and then help them understand that, that credit card that you're using, that you're buying that hot dog, it costs $3, but if you're not paying off your credit card, pretty soon, the actual cost after interest and everything, that hot dog might have cost you $20, $25. Yeah,
it's really... Sometimes the reactions, the faces, the sounds. Sometimes it's funny, but then they're grateful that they know this information before it's too late. Because again, you spoke about college. A lot of times, those 4 years, a lot of people pay for those 4 years the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
Mistakes that they have made in those 4 years. Again, fine print that they didn't read, or different terminology they didn't know what this meant. What does this word mean? What does that phrase mean? And it catches them up every time. And it's just, again, we're paying for it for the rest of our lives. And so after they get over the initial shock of certain things, they're grateful. They're grateful that they're able to learn these things early and begin to put certain practices in place to save them a whole lot of headache and heartache in the future.
And the other reaction I want to know about, because I'm assuming in Philadelphia, as in Boston, you're most likely dealing with a lot of teenagers who don't come from a family with a lot of means. What kind of reaction do you get from the kids after they understand about the credit and interest and all that kind of stuff, when you sit down with them and you explain to them, hey, when you get this, when you get this knowledge and you get this kind of discipline, these are the things that open up for you. You will be able to buy a home if you do these certain things. You'll be able to save and have this much money, after a number of years. Well,
it definitely ignites different kinds of dreams, different kinds of hopes. It definitely changes their perspective, because for a lot of the young people, they only know their neighborhood. I speak about, growing up, my church was 4 blocks from my house. My elementary school and my high school was a couple of blocks away. Everything was basically right there, that neighborhood. And so for a lot of young people, it's the same for them. They're not able to envision themselves in a better situation than what they see every day, day in and day out. They're not able to picture anything else until I'm able to sit down and let them know this is possible. If you put this amount of money aside into this kind of account, this is how much money you can have in 10, 20, 30 years. This is how much money you can save. This is the kind of house you can buy if your credit score is above this particular number or whatever, and it begins to spark something in them or unlock some things in them that they didn't even realize were possibilities. So I'm excited. I'm excited always that I'm able to show them what's possible.
Yeah.
I'm able to give them another experience, and that can completely transform your life once you realize what's actually possible.
Absolutely. When if you're growing up, and I didn't grow up in the inner city, but I grew up right outside of the inner city. So we had a lot of the same kind of challenges. And boy, when you have no hope, then the choices that you make, there are no plans. It's just whatever happens day to day, what's going to make me feel good at the moment. And I don't care if it makes me feel horrible 10 minutes after that. But when you have some hope and you can create dreams, it really can change a person's life.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And just the perspective on, now with social media, or even with just the media in general, a lot of things, we put a lot of stock, I should say, in the kind of car you drive or the kind of clothes you wear and things like that. And a lot of young people aspire to have that kind of car or wear those kind of shoes or sneakers or whatever. And just to give them a perspective of just the real value of those things, the things that are really, really important above what you're wearing. You kind of just see something click within them that I believe you just can't go back to not knowing those things,
Well, we definitely want folks to check out Amber's Magical Savings Box. And I think one of the reasons a lot of kids aren't learning these things is because a lot of parents out there don't know these things. I had a conversation with my wife's best friend who's a principal in an inner city school, and I said, how can I inspire your parents to read more with their kids? And she said, well, a lot of my parents can't read. And I imagine that's the same thing that's going on with a lot of parents out there, even a lot of parents who may have, gone to college and they have a job, but now they're struggling with that $150,000 school loan that they'll be paying off for the rest of their life. Where can parents get some information so that when they start sitting down and reading Amber's Magical Savings Box with their kids, they feel a little bit more knowledgeable and a little bit more competent in teaching their kids this really important information about finances?
Well, I am also a personal finance coach. I have helped a lot of people, parents, reach their short-term and long-term financial goals, whether it be saving, your emergency fund, whether it is saving for a home, or even creating a debt-free payment plan. All of those things, which is kind of how I arrived at even writing Amber's Magical Savings Box in the first place. I realized that a lot of my clients have a poor relationship with money based on the things that they have experienced when they were younger. So I wanted to kind of stop the bleeding and also put something out there that can stop the cycle. So as far as my personal finance coaching sessions, a lot of them are virtual. So a lot of my clients are all over. So you can go to RachelHannibal.com if you are a parent and you are looking for just to brush up on certain things, and if you have certain financial questions, or if you need help with just changing your perspective, your view on money, definitely go to RachelHannibal.com. That's RachelHanible.com, and all my information is on the website.
And it's a great website, really a lot of great information there. And as you can hear, Rachel is very knowledgeable, but is able to share that knowledge in a very down-to-earth and understandable way. It makes it accessible for everyone.
Of course.
Yeah. Well, we're really excited that you had a chance to be with us today. Check out Amber's Magical Savings Box. You can get a copy on RachelHannibal.com. I assume it's also available on Amazon and the usual outlets?
Yes, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Walmart.
Excellent. Walmart. Woof. That's an absolutely great place for it to be. All right, we've been talking today to the author of Amber's Magical Savings Box, Rachel Hannibal. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
You do not want to miss the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Our guest will be one of the top names in magic and one of my friends. Her name is Lynn Dillies. She's going to be here to talk about her wonderful Learn Magic with Lynn DVD. And also talking to us, since it is right before Election Day here in the States, we'll be talking about her book, Your Vote is Magic. And it really is an important book, and I think it's a great topic for us to talk about with our kids, just helping them understand how important our vote is, and I think it's a really great way to empower our kids too. So make sure you're here with us on the next edition to meet my buddy, Lynn Dillies. Hey, we want to thank my new buddy, Rachel Hannibal. Happy birthday, Rachel. We're so happy you had a chance to celebrate Amber's Magical Savings Box and celebrate your birthday with us. Thanks so very much for being on the show. And of course, we want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And as always, thank you so much for helping make this world a better place by reading with your kids. I'll be looking for the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.